Having worked a lot in East Africa over the years, when I came to Kenya, I think it really strikes us what a country of contradictions, I guess is the word that I would use to describe it. When it comes to comparing Kenya with other countries in the East Africa region, we certainly have the most active and free press and media. So I really, I want to stop talking because I'd love to hear more from Boniface and the other speakers about what they're trying to do in Kenya to address these issues.
I started my journey back and how I started doing activism. So after post-election violence, I was traumatized, I was a bit disturbed man, and I thought, what could I do? And I gathered friends in my house, and for 6 months we met in my house. We would meet and discuss what do we do. And we said, let's go and heckle the president, maybe we'll get attention, and he's going to listen to us. But when the day came, I went to the stadium. When I stood up, I was alone. They didn't show up. And the lesson was that we're not really seeing the same vision of what you're trying to do. But doing that, and fast forward to when I call a protest today, people come up, it's because they bought in what I was trying to do. Normally when you do advocacy or when you do a campaign, if people don't get it, they're not going to support it. I think one of the strategies that we have been able to utilize very well, because I don't talk about me, I want to talk about the work that you guys do, is trying to find a way to tell the story in such a way that it's so interesting, the media is going to run it for free. There's a company called Fiber. So Fiber came up with a character. And this character is about slow internet. The beauty of that advert, it caught everyone's attention. The media, the person who did the interview, the videos called on TV, national TV was interviewed. And when he spoke about the advert, he speaks about Fiber because that's the brand. Because when you see that man, you see Fiber. Same thing about your campaign. How do you do your campaign so well that first you have the community that you're serving, they buy into it. But if you're going to do advocacy, find a way that whatever you're communicating, that there's a buy-in. And how do you get the buy-in? By listening to people. As in one of the things that we do and we test our ideas on, actually the people in the community. We talk to them. Because maybe the middle class may not get what you're trying to do. Like the middle class had a problem with the pigs because they love bacon. That's why they had a problem with that. They didn't imagine their bacon eating blood. That was a bad sight. But the man in the village knows that chicken eat shit and eat anything. Or even the pigs eat shit and eat anything. So then they get, because they live in a farm. So get local, work with local people, find that thing, that community that can actually help you tell your story. Because what you guys do, it's very good projects, but for you to be able to fundraise more and get more supporters and people get to know what you need to do propaganda. So you have to think in a propaganda way. And propaganda is not a bad word. You're just propagating what you're trying to do. Thank you.
When I was growing up, we witnessed a lot of violence, as she said. Next to our house was this man who had married a baby, and every day she was battered. So one day, when this guy was doing the usual, he always locked the door. So my brother broke the door and got in, and I followed. And of course, my brother punched the bagger properly, and then this guy was arrested. Never mind that he didn't last more than 3 days in the police cells. He was arrested and released after 3 days. But when he was released, he came and gave us a threat. And a day after, my brother was murdered. But later in time, I decided it's high time I challenge the status quo. My long journey in campaigns has taught me that there are various things that we must put in our toolboxes as campaigners. And the first thing is I campaign because I would like to influence change in my perspectives. My other tool in my box is to make sure that I initiate processes that will enable people recreate their own histories. Currently, I'm working on housing rights, and the big elephant in the room in our place has been forced evictions. They happen day in, day out. I would like to stop there by saying I challenge all of us to make this campaign our problem make every one of us, including Naomi here, feel guilty for this plight of the children. Thank you very much.
About 2 years ago, a friend of mine, she was an intern at the time, just straight out of campus, and her mother, who had been bedridden and actually was in a wheelchair at the time, needed to do some surgery. It would cost about $2,000. She was on Twitter at the time and Facebook, and so she thought, if these guys are really my friends, can they help me raise that money? And in a span of about 2.5 weeks, she had raised $2,300. One of the most popular campaigns in Kenya, and which has been has several iterations, is called Mpango wa Kando. The reason why it's become so popular is because kids are talking about it. It's on popular radio shows. It's on social media. It's been spoofed 7, 8, 9 different times, and so people do get the message. About a month or two ago, a young girl, 16 years old, in Busia, that's towards in the western part of the country, close to the border with Uganda, she was raped. They did a protest a few days ago, and all of these stories I've shared have one thing in common, which is they go to our emotion. And all these campaigns, even though some of those that started them didn't even realize they were campaigns, somebody just started Justice for Liz, because as a parent, I personally feel that this is hugely distasteful that we live in a society that would allow this to happen. If you can get a solid social media campaign going, the traditional media will follow. I think that's it. I'm done.
Whether we want to say guilty or responsible, whichever, the truth is that we work in, Save the Children in Nigeria works largely in the parts of the country, in the northwest and the northeast, where 2 or 3 years ago when I was facilitating a meeting, some of the traditional religious leaders who were there told me that if a woman dies in labor, he goes straight to heaven. Now, to make a set of people like that feel guilty or responsible for high mortality is a big challenge. And that is one of the various challenges that we have had to face in our campaign and advocacy. So how do you make them feel guilty or feel responsible enough to be able to take on the challenge?
Where there is proper awareness creation, we will see one way or the other we are affected. Of course, there is primary affectees, then there is secondary, but one way or the other, we are all affected by each and everything that happens.
What's the skills that make you sit now in these chairs and you feel that strong in your side, that you can be very strong advocacy persons and you can advocate for others?
The one thing we enjoy is perhaps a free and active, he was saying earlier, and we have the opportunity to call out the government and not fear repercussions too much.
I was also thinking, as activists, how do you get your support during your campaign?
I think they say nowadays that anyone who has a Facebook account and a Twitter account can actually run their own channel and a blog. Because if you're doing fascinating work, then your work is going to go beyond the mainstream media coverage. I think before the Kenyan media caught our work, we had other coverage from other people doing that. We had guys covering the stories on Twitter, on Facebook, and on blogs. And with that, we had actually a new audience. So I think social media is the next frontier. You can be able to run your own channel, and you need to get more followers who they retweet you and they share your stories, and the stories go to other people. That people get to know you about your work. Before the local TV station did a story about our work, Al Jazeera had already done a story about our work.